Hi, and welcome to the Unashamedly Human podcast, a podcast created to help you get out of your head and into your life. That is, if you want to have more fun, freedom, happiness, peace of mind, and success whilst squeezing the juice out of every area of your life. Join Jackie Ford every Thursday and listen in to her warm Scottish tones, wise heart, and wonderful sense of humour as she interviews guests and discusses what it means to be unashamedly human.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Unashamedly Human podcast. Today, I have the person who saved my life on so many occasions. It is unbelievable, and who has such a deep knowledge of the way that I work and the way that I show up in the world that I just want to share her with you. Now, it's really interesting that we all love the familiar. We all find it difficult to make changes, and we all tend to not enjoy that process. And my dear friend Susan, and my colleague Susan, and in so many ways my mentor Susan, was talking to me about a new project that she is undertaking that I just thought, oh my gosh, there's so many coaches and so many individuals out there because of a new idea that's come into our lives, maybe sitting there wondering, oh my God, what do I do? Should I do this? Should I not do this? And I just thought it was really appropriate to invite Susan on to the podcast to talk about this, because this is one of these unashamedly human ways of being where we question, we doubt, we get ourselves into a situation where we're stuck. And I wanted Susan to share some of what she's doing at the moment to help coaches and healers and counsellors not be stuck as they move forward with their lives and also with their businesses. So welcome, Susan Wheeler-Hall, my absolute godsend on this planet, who has helped me no end with my website, my courses, my ability to use tech after I've been let down so often by so many people in the past, that Susan is not allowed to pass in this world. Susan has to live forever, because I don't want to work with anybody else. Anyway, Susan, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure, Jackie. You're a pleasure to work with, I have to say, because, even though we work together, that's the one thing I really like about my work is I get to work with people that are really heart-centered and, really, really entrenched in their desire to want to help people. And I love to help people who help other people.
Oh, I know you do, love. And can I also mention at this point that Susan also works with the guys, Rudy and his wife, at Innate Health, I think it's called.
No, Innate Evolution.
Innate Evolution. I get confused.
Yeah, Jules.
Jules. We all change what we're doing all the time. But she works with that team too. So, I mean, if you're checking out my website, go and check out what they're doing. But it's not just the front end stuff that Susan does. It's the back end. It's the putting the courses together, about advising you. Anyway, there's just so much to tell you on this podcast. I love the way you say, Susan, that you want to help heart-centered people help others. Why is that? What's the attraction?
Well, for many years I worked as a therapist myself. I was, a trained social worker and primarily worked with people with disabilities and chronic illnesses, because obviously I have a disability called Charcot-Marie Tooth. Many people don't know what that is, but it's the best way to understand it. It's in the muscular dystrophy family. So my walking mobility is very limited at this point, and I've always just helped other people, and that's just sort of who I am. And when I could no longer do that in the style in which I had my own office and people would come there and that kind of thing, because my mobility changes, I was always pretty techy. So I kind of thought, maybe I could find a way to marry that together.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's sort of what I've done in my, I guess, niche, as you call it,
Mm-hmm.
is working with, I have a roster of coaches, counselors. I have a couple of psychotherapists, a couple of doctors, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And most are not really wanting to be super techy.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to help them learn just enough to get them through what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'll do the rest for them. So, like you're unique in the sense that you not only just want the work done, you want to know how it's done. You like to sort of stretch your own abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really love to work with people that like to do that. And that sometimes takes a fair bit of time.
Mm.
But I'm interested in working with people and helping them. So that's time is, worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly couldn't vouch for Susan any higher than I am presently, because there are no words for the way that Susan sort of has held me in the creative process. It's knowing what you want to achieve and what you want to say, but having points of lack of clarity about your message, and having points of maybe lack of clarity about what that looks like in a website. And Susan could see my stuckness and my ability to procrastinate it. I'm very, very good at procrastinating when I don't want to do something. And so Susan took me by the hand, very lovingly, very kindly, and she would set dates that we were to meet. I had
Right.
tasks to perform before we got together, and she literally created my website and my courses with me, so that I could see exactly what was going on and how to put it together. But I also know I have had my knuckles rapped maybe once or twice for going into certain parts of my website that I shouldn't, because it Elementor. Because I shouldn't change things that are the core basis, and I've done that a couple of times. So I now know what my capabilities are and my capabilities are not. And I must say, all of that's been done with love and humour and kindness. And really what I'm pointing to there, Susan, is your counselling background allows you to really see the person you're working with.
Yeah.
To see what they're struggling with.
I really, and that's, for me, that's the sort of the joy of the work that I do, because I love to see transformation. I mean,
yes,
when I work with people with disabilities and chronic illness, obviously it was a different kind of transformation. And I've done work with I've also authored 7 books, so I know the work that takes. Many were training manuals, but a couple were more nonfiction, narrative nonfiction. And I did teach for a while about authentic writing, and therapeutic writing, and how the benefits of that. And so all of that to say is that I bring that into the creative process of helping people create their websites, because I have this one client, Angela, who's really wonderful, and she will talk about something and talk about it for quite a while, and while she's talking, I'm like quickly writing and condensing things, and she calls that my magic, because she just can't seem to form a shorter way to say what it is she wants to say. So I help her do that. But yeah, and so I find that for a lot of people that work best with people, one-on-one, writing isn't necessarily their strength. Not always, but generally. And also, I think you can remember, I would say to you, okay, Jackie, here's a block. Yeah, I want you to write me something that's only, 1,500 words. And I know we used to do that in school. Of course, we all went through that. And that's not so easy to do when you're writing about yourself or about a particular topic that you care about. So, so I really like to help people do that. And of course, many people will now know about AI, artificial intelligence. And the interesting thing about that is when it was sort of first coming on my radar, which maybe was just over a year ago in the tech realm of things, I was thinking, oh no, that's really gonna, cause a lot of problems for people that are really creative writers. And I thought, oh man, that's gonna really, I just didn't think it was gonna be necessarily a good thing for heart-centered people. And so, I had that in my mind, and then I thought, I'm basing that thought on very little information. So I thought I need to get more information. So then I decided to take a quite extensive training on AI. And like a lot of people, I was really blown away with its possibilities and its capabilities. But it's like any other tool. Once you learn how to use it, then you can figure out how to use it to your benefit. I'm not interested in the bad things that it can do. I'm only interested in the good things. And I was really, really transformed in my understanding of it, because what I learned was there's ways to actually train the tool. So, and in training the tool to work with you, it's going to be as authentic as you are. So it sounds really, it's hard to explain. It's easier to show than it is to explain. But there is a way to arrive at your voice. But the really interesting thing is that you can achieve so much very quickly. But it's also the thing that so I'm hosting a webinar May 15th, primarily for coaches on authentic self-promotion, because the areas that I find my clients have trouble with, because when you help someone else, you don't tend to know how to blow your own horn. Marketing and sales is always our weakest link. True for me as well. So, finding a tool that can help you to get over that block is golden. It really is. So that's a huge, the thing there with the writer's block. How do I start this? What do I say? All of that thing can be eliminated. So, then it's basically you just need to be able to get your marketing materials done really well and authentically well, so that then the people that you want to serve will know that you're out there and they can come to you.
Susan, it's so crucial, isn't it? The past couple of years I've been very, very quiet, very quiet, because I've just been in life, experiencing life and sort of moving sideways, almost like a crab, sort of just consolidating what I've known, what I've learned, ready to then start moving forward again. And, you can see that from the work we're doing at the moment and the work that will happen in the future using this AI tool, which I'm really, really excited about. And, at some point, Susan and I will let you know a bit more about that. And it's just not what you think. And to hear you say that the AI can be trained, because as someone who worked in sales for 40 years in the pharmaceutical industry, tough sales, really tough, a lot of rejection, and never bothered me at all. You just, you went out there and it was rejection with my one of my middle names. And it's interesting to me that I see it in myself, and I see it in people that I work with too, that they get stuck because before they've even put an idea out there, they've dismissed it as not being viable. They've dismissed it as nobody will buy this. And in many ways, having a tool that you describe, an AI tool that you can play with an idea and then have that copy written for you, is kind of like copy that I guess has been based on all of the most amazing copywriters that are out there.
Mm.
That all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I would buy this myself, and I haven't even written the course yet. Is
That's
that
very,
right?
that's very true. But I would put the caveat in there that it will definitely do that. It will pull together the material that you need and sort of outline it in a way that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really super, super, super important for you to do the rewriting and the editing
Right.
to make sure that your voice is foremost in the presence of the material. Because what I see some people doing is they're like, oh, right, okay, I'll get this AI tool to write my email. And then people that you email, they know
Yeah.
it's not you. So, there's no way of, I think the important thing is to remember that it's not meant to replace you.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to help you step out.
That's reassuring. In so many ways. Not to be replaced. But I understand that block to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the times that I've played with AI, it's actually come up with something. I thought, oh, and it stopped the block. I'm like, oh, I could use that bit and I can take that bit out and I can twist that bit around. Because often, unless, I'm sharing stories about my life or whatever, sometimes I get blocked. And I don't know what to write about. And recently I've been writing twice a week to my email list. Just fun stories about things, about life and what's going on. And I've used AI, I think, once or twice, just when I was looking at maybe a topic about noticing, and I've came up with something. I thought, well, that's a bit cold. Let me put in a story here, and I've maybe used one or two key points from what it said as here's the lesson,
right.
But here's my story, and here's where I saw that, but here's what is fact as well.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by training it, because basically what you're doing is you're giving it information based on a prompt, but then it's giving you information, and then you can go through there and pick out the little golden nuggets that now become your prompt. So it's almost like an exchange in that way, And when I was first taking the training, and like I say, I was very skeptical because even though I'm very I love tech, even though I love technology, I also first and foremost am coming from a real passionate care to want to help people.
Yeah.
So I was working. I had started writing a book last year. Never didn't have enough time to get to it, and so I thought to myself, well, this is interesting. I wonder, what the difference would be. So I had already formed my table of contents, if you like, my outline for this particular book. I don't want to reveal what it is yet. So then I thought, well, let's see what the AI tool would do. So then I worked with it and told it what I was doing, and so it spit out another table of contents for me. And one thing that when I compared the two, there was 80% the same. But the 20% that differed was it had added a little bit more that I thought, wow, that really kind of upped the game, if you like. So I was sort of, I felt kind of, I don't know, vindicated that, oh, okay, I got 80% right. Or, so it's not going to give me something that I don't really think is going to be any good, because I gave it all the prompts. So that it just helped me pull out 20% more that I could consider offering.
Yeah. I mean, it's a resource, isn't it? It doesn't have to be the whole thing. But I like what you're saying there about when you train it to have more of your voice, it eliminates what a lot of people are speaking about at the moment, that it's cold, it doesn't have humor, it doesn't have, it doesn't sound like your voice. I mean, how would you address those kind of concerns?
Yeah, well, okay, the way that I would address that is that you're only going to get out what you give in. So it's like a lot of things in life.
Mhm.
You only are going to get the result of the effort that you put in. So it's a little bit like learning how to use it. It's like any tech tool, like what you're saying, like with Elementor and things like that. You know quite a bit because we've worked together and you
Mhm.
learned and watched and explored and played.
Yep,
But
that's
then there's
me.
that little bit more that I know
Mhm.
that sort of makes sure that things stay safe. So, and that's because I've put in the extra time to learn that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's the same with the AI. If you spend the time to learn, you can manipulate and just learn how to use it in a way that's going to give you what you need.
Right.
So it always goes back to learning
Well, it
and
does.
being open.
Absolutely, being open to new things, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
and so many of us, I think, get stuck in that because we don't know, and people become frightened of what they don't know,
Yeah,
instead of getting curious about what they don't know yet, and then being
right.
playful with it. And that's why I love that you're doing this webinar, Susan, on May the 15th, because it gives people the opportunity to engage with you, to learn a bit more about what you're doing, but also to see that it could be so helpful in your
Yes,
business. It can
yes,
save you time. It can give you prompts. It can elevate your writing, actually.
yes, it can. Yeah,
And
yeah.
especially in this area of sales and marketing that people are scared of, they don't want to come across as too pushy or,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's one thing. But the other way that it's really helpful for coaches, and most of us are solopreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have a team of people
Mm-hmm.
to work with. And then of course, when I'm working with people, I try to teach them a little about SEO, search engine optimization, because it's really difficult. Like sometimes you'll write an article maybe on, how not to beat yourself up or how to, be a little more self-compassionate to yourself. Well, that doesn't necessarily have strong SEO unless you know how to put in the technology terms
Yeah.
to bring up the SEO, right? So what I found interesting is that, taking a blog article, for example, and then putting it into the AI and indicating what is it you want them to review,
Mm-hmm.
and then they review and come back and tell you what are the SEO points that you can expand upon
Mm-hmm.
to increase your, ability to be found online. Because, that's the thing about online is you need to speak the language in order for the algorithms to pick you up.
Yeah, and I think people are recognizing that already, Susan, from even Facebook and Instagram, that these algorithms are always changing. And unless you keep up to date with, like Instagram, it's reels, the carousels aren't working anymore and all that kind of thing. So, Susan, what can people expect when they come to the webinar on May the 15th? And just to let you know, there's a discount. I have a discount code that if you're on my mailing list, you will be able to get access to this discount code. And I will put it somewhere else as well for all you people that listen, but don't join my mailing list because I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. Sorry, Susan, what can people expect?
Well, the thing that I'm hoping to touch upon is my main goal is to help people to at least lessen their fear about using it, so that I really, really want to show them and demonstrate and work with them. That's why I'm calling it, it's more of a workshop webinar.
Right.
So I'm not going to be offering a recording because I really want it to be hands-on where people
Yeah.
are going away with a new understanding
Sure.
and, to see how they could maybe change some of their content focus and really see hands-on how to use it in a way that's to their advantage, that enhances and pulls out the authenticity, not, robot-like kind of thing. That's what a lot of people worry about. So I really want to make sure that I attend to people and listen to them, listen to their fears, and so I can help them to, demystify some of the things that maybe are blocking them at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
it's
perfect.
no different like when social media came along.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about that for a moment, how much social media changed your business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has the same ability, same capacity to do that. And in fact, more, because it can actually work with the social media as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, unless you want to suddenly hire 5 or 6 people, I would say this is worth taking a look at.
This is the future, isn't it, Susan?
It is.
Really is the future.
Mhm.
Can you remind people again the time, the date?
Yes, it's May 15th, and it will be a 60-minute workshop webinar. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. UK time, and 7 a.m. PST, Pacific Coast. Yeah, and again, there's no recording because I really want it to be a hands-on workshop. So be prepared to work a little bit, because the only way that you're going to alleviate fear is to learn.
Absolutely. Susan, thank you so much for joining me on the Unashamedly Human podcast. I am unashamedly promoting you because I think you are the bomb.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any coaches, counsellors, anyone who has an online presence, even if your online presence is really just, your family or your friends, it's still well worth understanding what Susan's going to be talking about on this workshop. So again, Susan, thank you for your time. All the details will be in the show notes, and they will also be on my next email coming out tomorrow. So all the best, everybody, and I look forward to being unashamedly human with you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And I just want to remind people that if you need to learn more about me or the workshop, just check me out. I'm online. My presence is known as Suzy Web. So SuzyWeb.com. Suzy with a Z.
Yeah, and you find that at the bottom of my website. And as I say, all the details will be in the show notes too. Thank you, Susan. You're an absolute star.
You could be larger than life.